Alright, so here is a little recap of last night's Guitar 101 course. And so what we kind of first talked about is little different ways to play like just a couple chords, like our C major chord. For example, instead of playing that whole chord, there's a cool way to actually play it a lot more easier. So instead of playing that full chord, for example, the second string first fret, fifth string third fret, those are the same note. So if that's a little hard to get up there, take that note out. So, and if it's easier for you to also play the fourth string second fret, you can do that and then keep your pointer finger planted and play strings 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you still get a C major chord. Now, if that's a little bit difficult, what you can do is you can just keep your pointer finger planted and play strings 3, 2, 1, which is pretty sweet. And then, for example, an E minor chord, right? This is going to be a little bit different. So instead of doing our whole chord here, what we can do is we can just take our third finger or even our middle finger and place it at the fourth string second fret. And because this note are the same note, E and E. So you can strum down strings 4, 3, 2, 1. Which is pretty cool. And then, like, let's say you got a D major chord. Scrunching all those fingers in there. Not fun. So a different way you can actually play this is to actually just play strings 2 on the second fret, or third fret, second string, and then our first string second fret there, and just play strings 4, 2, 1, and then try not to hit this third string in there, or else you can just play strings 2 and 1, because this note is really not needed. It's what's called the fifth. It's what I like to call the obsolete note. So like if I play like something like this, right, it doesn't identify whether it's major or minor. This note right here, it's called a third, and that's what identifies a major or minor chord. So for example, if you got your C major chord here, right, and then if I just moved this note here down a half step and just play 4, 3, 2, that makes it sad and minor. If I move back up, happy, sad. So that's kind of cool. Just a couple little things there for a G major chord instead of playing something like a full G major chord. Thing with some of these chords is it doubles up the root. So the root, for example, would be G, right? So that's the first note of the chord. This note, that's a G, that's a G. So there's 3 root notes in there. But the only notes that you really do need are 6, 5, 4, or else you can do 4. You can add you can take and bar strings 4, 2 and 1, and play strings 4, 3, 2, 1. That's also a G major chord. Or else you can just take your third finger here place it at the high E. That's also a G chord. Then I can go to my C chord. Then I can play my E minor. So I'm just using. So it's pretty cool. And then what we talked about is in the Western music system, we have 12 chromatic tones. But first, the musical alphabet is notes A through G. So that's how we tune our guitars and everything. Like we have E, A, D, G, B, E, right? That's where it comes out of that whole 7 notes. Every scale, every chord, everything is based off of 7 notes. And it's just different combinations. So for example, you got the chromatic scale in the PDF that was sent over. If we just take our second string, for example, and we go up half step by half step, so we got our open B here, and we go to the chromatic scale, and our next note would be C. So that means that the C would be at the first fret, second string, and we're just going to stay on the second string. So this note, first fret, is C. Second fret would be called C sharp, D flat, which is an inharmonic equivalent, same note, but it all depends on what key signature we're in, and we'll get into that. And then we go up to the third fret with the first dot is D, fourth fret, D sharp, E flat, E, and then F is on the sixth fret. So between B and C, E and F, there's no spicy note. And the spicy notes I like to call the sharps and flats and all that stuff. So E, F, and then ninth fret or seventh fret is F sharp, G flat. Then 8 is G, G sharp, A flat, A sharp, B flat, B, and then we got C. So this note is C and C. So for example, as we know, if you play those open and play E, E, A, D, G, B, E. So if you want to find a B, just go to your second string, 12th fret, high E, first string, 12th fret, or low E. If you want to find a G, third string, 12th fret. So you can kind of think about it that way. So now, that is a chromatic scale. And to do a chromatic scale from any note, you would start on whatever note you first are playing. So for example, if I did the first string, which is an E, open E, so I'd go on the chromatic scale and find the note E. So the first fret here would be the note F, second fret would be F sharp, G flat, G, G sharp, A flat, A sharp, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D flat, D, D sharp, E flat, E, and then F. So, but we're doing a chromatic scale to E, so E to E. So, if you kind of go back to the chromatic scale in C, to find any chromatic scale from any note, take, let's say our first fret, second string, right? That's our C note. If we go up 12 frets from that, we will get our C again. So we got our C here, and then we want to count up 12 frets from there. So the second fret would be the start of the count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there's that B, 12. And you can do that with any note. And then we talked about the major scale. So there's a formula between that. Is usually the first scale that we teach is C major scale, because there's no it's all what's called natural notes. So that means there's no spice to it. There's no sharps or flats or anything like that. So if you think on a keyboard, middle C, it's all the white keys. The black keys are all the spicy notes. So that we're not worrying about. So we got a formula here. First, we should look at what a half step is. So a half step is going from one fret to the next. So if I go from fret 1 to 2, I'm just doing this on the second string, that is what's called a half step. Then we got a whole step. So a whole step is from frets 1, we're skipping fret 2 and playing 3. 1 to 3, that's a whole step. So we're going to use a combination between these to create what's called a C major scale. So what we're going to do here is the formula is called whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So that's 7 notes. So what we want to do is we want to take our pointer finger, second string, first fret. So that's our note C. So then our first whole step, we're going to go from fret 1 to 3. So that's note C to D. And then now we need another whole step. So then we'd be going D to E. So I'm climbing up the alphabet. So A, B, C, D, E, F, or G, you know, so on and so forth. So C to D is our first whole step. D to E is our second whole step. And then now we need a half step. So half step, we're just going up 1 fret. Between the notes E and F and B and C, there's no spice to it. It's just a natural note. So then we go to fret 6. That would be our note F. So far we got fret 1 to 3 for our first whole step, 3 to 5 for our second whole step, and then 5 to 6 is our half step. So then now, next, we're on fret 6, and that's our F. So now we need to go a whole step from that. And then we go up to the 8th fret, 6 to 8, so that'd be F to G. And then we have another whole step, which would be 8 to 10, and that would be G to A. And then we have one more whole step, 10 to 12. That would be A to B. And then to finish off the scale, we go back home, and that would be 12 to 13. So that would be B to C. So far we got 1 to 3, so C to D, 3 to 5, D to E, 5 to 6 is E to F, 6 to 8 is F to G, 8 to 10 is G to A, 10 to 12 is A to B, and then 12 to 13 is C. And then, so what we want to do to play any different major scale, this is where it incorporates those sharps and flats, is because we want to take the chromatic scale and whatever note we're going to start with, like let's say it's G, right? And we're going to play a major scale from that. So we go on our chromatic scale, and then we start plugging in that wonderful formula, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And under all that, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the numbers are what are called scale degrees. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then C. So C would be 1, 2 would be D, 3 would be E, 4 would be F, 5 would be G, 6 would be A, 7 would be B, and then 8, or back to 1, would be C. So the numbers are scale degrees. So let's say we're going to take the key of G, and we're just going to go on the high E string, first string. And so we got our, to find the note G, we got our open E, right? So then the next note in that chromatic scale part would be F. So then you go up another half step, that would be our F sharp or G flat. You can just call it sharp for now. F sharp because we're going up. And then our next fret, third fret, would be G. So, okay, there we go. There's our G. So now we want to build a major scale from the note G. This is kind of really cool, is because it uses the fret markers, which is really nice. 3, 5, 7, and then 8, so on and so forth. So we'll get to that. So what we want to do is we want to do a whole step. So we're going to go from 3 to 5. So that would be G to A. That's our first whole step. Second whole step would be A to B. So that'd be 5 to 7. And then now we go up a half step. So B to C. So there's 7 to 8. And then now we want to go start our whole step thing again for the last 3 whole steps. Is C to D is 8 to 10. And then our second whole step in that is D to E, 10 to 12, right? Okay, so then we have one more whole step, right? So now we want to go up to the 14th fret, 12 to 14. So that means that note is called an F sharp. So we got our E, kind of like how we did here. E, F, F sharp, right? E, F, F sharp, right? So we want to go 12 to 14. So that's E to F sharp. And then now we have our half step to finish off the scale. 14, 15. So that's F sharp to G. So far we got 3 to 5, and that's G to A to B, 5, 7. Now our half step, B to C, 7 to 8. Now the next 3 whole steps is C to D, 8, 10. Then then D to E. There's our second whole step in this next section. And then now we got one more whole step, 12 to 14 is E to F sharp, and then 15th fret is G. And then we can do that for any scale. So for example, if we wanted to play an F major scale on the low E string, or high E string, so because we got our open E here, first fret is F. So we just want to plug in that whole formula thingy. So we go fret 1 to 3, that'd be F to G, first whole step. Second whole step would be 3 to 5 with G to A. Now we got a half step, so 5 to 6. So this note would be called A sharp B flat. But in the concept of circle and fifths, this note for the key of F would technically be called B flat. And we'll get into that next class. So got 1 to 3 is F to G, G to A, and then A to B flat. And then now we start our whole step. So 6 to 8, B flat to C, then our another whole step, 8 to 10, C to D, then our next whole step, D to E, 10 to 12, and then we got our half step, 12 to 13. So that's a major scale, G major. C major. So I'm adding all that, and that sounds like a major scale. And so yeah, we will see you next class. Thank you.